What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Two Sisters, One Book. I'm Carla.
And I'm Amanda. We're two sisters, two moms tackling one book at a time. Ooh.
Ooh.
Dun
Ooh.
dun dun.
Dude, did I not call you and I was like, ah. Like, I was so, of course, we left ourselves on a cliffhanger again, which you guys, we don't plan this. Amanda and I don't even know what we're reading. Like, we're just like, okay, let's just read these chapters. And then we end up totally leaving ourselves on a cliffhanger. So either we're really good or we're really annoying for doing that to ourselves and to our listeners.
Find it as much as a cliffhanger as probably you're thinking. I don't know.
Well,
But
I
it did
want to
end off
know
on a
what she
really
had.
good spot.
Yeah,
So,
I want to know what her idea was. That's kind of where I was, but that's okay.
yes.
We can find out. But we kind of start off these chapters with that Alyssa is hanging out with her friends and the nobles and all the cool people that she doesn't consider herself to be. And she's taking the princesses to these, I don't know, parties and all these things. And then at night, she's going out with her friends. And I thought that was kind of fun because we see Alyssa kind of opening herself up a little bit to just the other people who she doesn't consider herself to be. So I thought that was kind of cool. We see Alyssa is kind of melding together her friendship with Beth, Felix, Nate, Max with Helena and her crowd of people. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really fun. I really enjoyed watching. I could be taking this the completely wrong way, but with Max and Felix kind of like getting on each other's nerves and acting like they hate each other right now. I'm thinking, did Max say something to Felix like you need to back off because Felix is like, I really like Alyssa and all this stuff. But we saw with Princess Marie that Felix and Alyssa were kind of like dancing, getting closer. Of course, she doesn't see him that way. She's just trying to have fun. But I can see that Felix is starting to get feelings, and he's like, "Hey, man, what do you think about me going after her?" That's the only reason why I could see them having a drift apart. So that's like my thing of coming up with it is them having a drift apart right for that.
Yeah, I think Max probably said something to him at their camping trip or their hunting trip. And he probably was, because they did say, oh, we've heard a lot about you. We heard so much about the Alyssa girl that he's talking about. And I mean, I think it's safe to say that he was probably telling him, like, oh, there's this really like cute girl that is, the princess companion to my sisters. And I'm kind of into her, but I can't really be with her. And so maybe when Felix came back and he saw Alyssa, he's like, well, technically
You
you can't be
can't.
with her, but I can be
I
with her,
can.
maybe.
Right? Isn't that messed up? There's
Yeah. So
no
I
bro
definitely
code or
think,
honor in them.
no, there's not. And I think there is something that it definitely has to do with Alyssa. It absolutely has to do. Their tension with each other has to do with her because those are his like best friends. I don't know. I mean, think of it. I guess if we put ourselves in Max's shoes, I would probably be a little ticked off too. Like maybe he's not even mad at Felix as much as he's mad at the situation that he can't be with Alyssa, or so he thinks he can't be with her.
Yeah. No, it's like my whole thing of I think that's what went down. Watch it not even be that, it's something else. But can we talk about really fast? Because I have in my head and I want to hold to it and watch this is going to be completely off, but I think that the Alyssa's aunt and her cousin Harrison purposely got Alyssa sick to see if they could contaminate the palace the palace, because to me that was just so weird. Because like you said before, she's spending a lot of time with her friends and the nobles and just finding her place at the palace right now, that she's kind of like didn't have time for her family. So she does go see the family, and her aunt's like, I want to throw a birthday party for you. Not a birthday dinner for you since it's like a week away, but you just have to be careful because everybody here is getting sick. And it's just like, literally, either I forgot, was it that night or the next day, she passed out sick. You
Yeah.
can't tell me something's not fishy with that situation.
I thought the exact same thing as you. I was reading it and I'm like, oh, If we're going with our theory that there is something with the aunt and Harrison that has to do with this group of rebel people who are fighting against the king, I would 100% think that this was a purposeful thing. I mean, they kind of plant the seeds, right? Where they're like, oh, yeah, there's some people who are sick here at the inn. So just make sure that, we'll let you know about your birthday party if for some reason we tell you you can't. Like they planted these seeds of there's people who are sick here, so you've got to be careful. But it makes sense why they would maybe, if again, going with this theory, that they would want her to maybe bring something back to the castle to infect the nobles and the palace royals. That's what I would think.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, you guys are good. They are good. And then all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, like Harrison's like trying to check up on her. I was wondering, like, why are you trying to check up on her to see if your little thing worked or like what? Like, it's so bad because
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally judging him now. And I'm like, oh, watch him be like the sweetest guy too. We're over
Well, it
here
also could
like,
be, yeah, it could also be too, like maybe they weren't expecting Alyssa to get that sick, like because she is technically family. So they could, if this is the situation, they might have thought, okay, well, we'll get her sick, we'll spread it to them, but they might not have realized how sick it probably could have made Alyssa. I mean, we're talking about the girl has been out of commission for almost a week. She had a fever for 5 days. She was in and out of sleep. She was having these dreams, which made me think maybe the dreams are part of the sickness. I understand that when we're in like this heavy sleep, we can have dreams that sometimes almost access what our reality is asking for or wanting. But this whole thing seemed very calculated and very interesting. This whole sickness. I mean, I can't imagine them bringing in like an author of a book actually bringing in a sickness that had nothing to do with the actual story, right? Except for maybe just creating space in the pages. Like I think this has something to do with what was going on, whether it was because of the aunt and the cousin or because of somebody who planted it with the aunt and the cousin knowing Alyssa would be there and having Alyssa bring it back to the castle.
yeah. Yeah. Fever dreams are very real. Have you ever had a fever dream where you had a really bad fever and you're like sleep talking and you're kind of having like these like nightmare type things, but you're like in and out and not really knowing what's going on? It was very big in like the 19th century or like,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah,
1800s and stuff. Wild.
I can't recall if I have or haven't, but I'm sure I have. Especially when you have a really high fever. Like high fevers make you hallucinate and it's very dangerous, So it
Yeah.
would
Cause
not surprise me at all.
you don't even know what you're saying. So the poor girl is over here chasing. She's trying to find something in the palace, like with her fever dream. And I could already tell that she's like calling out for Max and she's talking about Max and probably her true feelings for Max. And who is there? It's Mathilde. And then, of course, the
Hmm.
doctors and the nurses. That's why she was so embarrassed. Like, oh my gosh. And then we find out that Max was actually sitting with her on her birthday. So I wonder if Max heard her fever dreams trying to find him.
Which, can I say really quick, did you know she was 17? I thought she was 19. I don't know why. I think I just assumed because I know Max is 19. I just assumed Alyssa was like the same age, but I didn't realize she was 17.
Yeah, I didn't realize how old she was either. I'm sure I feel like they said it in the beginning, but it just spaced my mind when she's like, "Oh, your 18th birthday." I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're such a baby."
That's what I thought. I was like, wow, she's such a baby. We thought Max was a baby. And now I'm like, oh, she's really like, she's younger. I don't
Yeah.
know why. I just assumed they were the same age. But yeah, these dreams, though, are interesting. Did you catch on to some of like the things that were going on in her dreams? How she was looking for something?
I just said that.
You did? Oh, I must
Yeah.
have missed that. Sorry.
But that whole part when you were saying her dreams and stuff, I'm not gonna lie, I teared up when she thought that she was with her family again.
Hmm.
And when she woke up, she clearly wasn't because she's like, this isn't a dream. This isn't a dream. She was so excited. And then when she woke up, she was like, clearly this was a dream. And a tear rolled down her face. I don't know what it was, Carla, these
Hmm.
past few chapters. I was emotional
Hmm.
between Alyssa, between the queen, between like everything that's happening. I was like,
Oh,
what is wrong with me right now? I
right.
needed a
Well,
box of
and
tissues and chocolates.
I think that it's emotional because usually about this point in any book we read, we start to get really emotionally attached to these characters. And I think there's some type of relatability to them that we can sometimes feel in ourselves, not just these specific characters, but characters in general when it comes to books. So it gets us really emotional when we get to a certain part. Like I was even feeling it when Alyssa was talking to the queen, and at the end with the whole Max thing, which we'll get to later, but I was getting invested. I was angry for them. I was sad for them. I was feeling all these emotions. And then I'm closing my Kindle. Okay, we're back in the real world. Like, what is going on? Why can't I separate these? But yeah, it's
Ah.
pretty hard. But we do also see we meet. Well, we don't really meet her, but we
Wait,
have
hold
the
on.
princess. Huh?
What did you think she was looking for in her dream?
I don't know. That's why I was wondering what you thought. I'm like, what could she
Oh.
be looking for? Because it just
Oh.
seemed she was having all these dreams, and it was, well, what is she looking for? Because she's running around the palace, and then she has her friends who are like cheering her on, but then also they're being negative too. I just wondered if the dreams were more just her perception of what she thinks people are viewing her as. Like, is she looking for hints for the king? And because she has all this pressure from the king about finding possible people, like, because she does mention she has a lot of the weight on her shoulders as far as trying to find things that could be potentially protecting the royals. So I
Mhm.
didn't know if it was maybe something related to that, or if it was just, she's looking for like, some candy. I don't know. I couldn't just, I
I
wasn't
think
sure.
she was looking for Max. I feel like this is her family, and she wants Max to be part of her family. She even says that this is her adopted family and everything. But I truly believe that she is looking for Max, especially with the moment when she did faint and everything. It was when we were seeing Princess Celeste, you know?
Hmm. And in her dream, she does say that she found Max, but he was with Celeste, like Princess Celeste.
They're getting
And
close.
yeah, they were like embracing each other. And that's probably heartbreaking to see in your dream, because I do think our dreams kind of give us sort of the reality of what we're actually feeling. Even if we don't maybe want to admit certain things, we're actually feeling these things. So maybe a dream is kind of going in and accessing those thoughts that are deep inside of our mind, that whether we've shut off or whatever, and it's kind of bringing it to light. I think you're right. I think it does probably symbolize her wanting Max to be a part of her family.
Yeah. Okay. Now go on to the next thing that you were going to say. That's it
Oh,
for that.
no,
I
I
was like,
liked
no,
that
don't
though.
give
That
up
was
on it.
um no, but so then we meet Princess Celeste, which we don't really meet her. She's kind of more just like one of those background characters. Like, she's introduced, and Alyssa obviously gets sick at this point. But again, I'm going back to my same theory of Max is spending all of his time with Alyssa. He's supposed to be hanging out with the princess and getting to know her and all these things. And yet we find out that he's been spending most of his time coming down to where Alyssa was when she's not even awake. And he's just sitting with her, especially on her birthday. Like, again, talk about his priorities are clearly more advancing towards Alyssa
Yeah.
than even getting to know Princess Celeste. So,
But we do find out while Alyssa is in the hospital bed with Mathilde, Mathilde comes and tells her there's no engagement. Like, no
mhm,
engagement has been announced or anything. And I
yep.
love the way they were giggling, laughing. And what did Mathilde say? What did she say? Was it the king who said it, or was it just people talking that they're like, yeah, she's a pretty
Oh,
face, but her brain is empty? I'm like, oh, that's so messed
yeah.
up.
Yeah. Well, I think so, because I think it was the kingdom. Like, in general, people were all talking about how like she was a beautiful princess, but man, she just was not very smart. And as we come to find out, you do need smartness to become a queen, because that's one of the things that I think, which we'll talk about in a bit, that the queen was talking to Alyssa about, that she
Hmm.
felt she didn't have a lot of knowledge in. So yeah, if you have a princess who just clearly there's nothing really smart about her,
There.
how do you plan to run a kingdom next to your king?
But Max, when he was talking about it with Alyssa, did he make, or did I just put this whole story in my head? Did he make it seem like Rivers and Celeste kind of hit it off and they liked each other? And Rivers is sad because the person who looked just as beautiful as he did is not there anymore.
He hinted at Rivers clearly having a thing for Princess Celeste, because
Yeah.
Rivers, like I said before, he kind of seems like this playboy type of guy where he'll flirt, he'll do all these things, but he's not looking for a serious girl. And then he sees this stunning woman. He's like, that's who's gonna get me to settle down. That's who I want to be with. But who knows? I mean, if who knows if she had any feelings that were reciprocated to him? It's just, that Max mentions that Rivers was clearly bummed out that Celeste was leaving, and he wasn't gonna have those moments to like just probably stare at her.
Yeah. Oh man. And then it gets crazy because the second, I feel like literally the second that Alyssa is like off bed rest and she's able to go to her activities and do anything, we get to meet Princess Ava, which I thought her name was the best. I don't have my Kindle, but it's like,
Well, and before that, so we see that the queen and Alyssa have a conversation, and we see that the queen is getting very vulnerable with her conversation with her. She's almost tearing her walls down, and she's getting really real and raw with her. And this is the conversation you were saying that you were getting emotional too, right? Like how it was like heartbreaking to hear the queen talk the way she was talking.
yeah, it brings a whole different perspective on because we do clearly she is the Cinderella. Like she
Mhm.
leaves her shoe and everything. And it does show how you have this girl who grew up as a servant, who fell in love with this young boy, knows nothing about anything. And it seemed like his family did not accept her. So she got stuck. She wasn't invited to anything. So how is she supposed to
Mhm.
learn? Like it was just very
Yeah.
heartbreaking. And she doesn't want that to happen to her daughters. So she's like, I have nothing to teach them. So I was just all like, you
Yeah.
have everything to teach them because look at where you started to where you're at. Because she's like, I was just a merchant's daughter. So you started as a merchant's daughter to a
Yeah.
queen. Like, look at what you could teach your girls. It's
But
just
that also goes to
heartbreaking.
show the negative thinking that she was giving. She wasn't even giving herself a chance to be the mom to her daughters. And in return, her daughters were the ones who were, suffering because of it,
Hmm.
because they weren't getting a mom, because the mom felt she was unworthy of teaching them how to be princesses because she never grew up as a princess. She went from being a merchant's daughter to a princess for a very short period of time. And then the king at the time passes away. Prince Henry and Princess Eleanor then become the king and queen. So she really kind of got rushed into this. She really didn't have a lot of knowledge. I'm assuming that if you are somebody who doesn't come from royalty, you have to learn these things. And she didn't have a lot of time in between becoming a princess and then a queen to learn those things. So she just doesn't feel worthy. And I think it's really sad because now it makes sense, right? What she went to the fairy godmother for in the beginning. She says, I don't want my son to make the same mistake his father did, which I interpreted it, and you can tell me if you felt the same way, that she thinks that the king made a mistake marrying her and that she's not really worthy of being the queen because
Hmm.
what is it that they said? There was a specific quote. Oh, that there's the godmothers are to ensure that there's supposed to be true love for princes and princesses, and a kingdom ruled by love was a place of peace and prosperity. And
Yeah.
so she feels like she failed in that manner because the kingdom is kind of going to crap, is kind of how she says it.
And it just got worse and worse from there. So she does
Hmm.
feel like it's all her fault. And now we understand the true meaning of a true princess. So that's what she
Yes, which
probably.
which Alyssa has. I was gonna say we're sprinkling all that stuff in. Alyssa has the properties of being a true princess.
But so does Ava, as we find out.
I don't know. I feel like Ava's a fake. And I have
What?
a whole thing on that. Oh, I have a whole thing on that. I hope you're ready for it.
Like she knows. She knows that shit got
Oh,
planted
she
in there.
knows.
No. Um,
I think she
it
knows.
it could be a whole setup. I mean, there was
So,
something that clued it off. Oh my gosh. That's what it was. Uh, dang it. Because I felt like, okay, hold on. Let me take this in so I'm not talking a million miles an hour. Okay. Okay. So I do feel like it's either this kingdom that we're about to see, like you said, she's a fake. That is part of the Claude situation because she's about to come in, right? And then all of a sudden, we have this guy who works with Mathilde Mathilde just needs to open her little brain up more, who seemed very curious about the Claude situation. So, was he curious about the Claude situation because he wanted to get more details on what Claude may have spilt? Or is he more into the Claude situation to get more details that Claude couldn't get, you know? But it's just funny how he shows up right before Ava shows up.
So, yeah, here's my thing. Here's my thing. I think, number one, Ava is a total fake. I think you're onto something here, because I do think that there are people we know who are planted in the kingdom, who, and we don't know who the enemy is, but whoever it is, they obviously hired on Claude. It didn't work out with Claude. He was kind of caught. But if you remember at the very, very, very beginning of the book, there was this quote, and I wrote it down. It was the very last sentence, and we've talked about this before. The woods were empty except for the silent watcher, who was neither a squirrel or a deer.
Yeah.
And this person, whoever was spying on the queen and the fairy godmother, who were talking about the pea that was going to be placed under the mattress.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Ava, who clearly Alyssa has good intuitions. She immediately says, I looked into her eyes and I saw just somebody who can't be trusted. Even Max says all of her motives seem calculated. Everything she's doing, it almost seems like she had inside information on how to please the king, the queen, Max, even though Max isn't falling for it. Even Alyssa's friends are like, well, she seems nice, because I feel like she's been trained on what to do to make these people happy. And she felt this pee. I feel like only the true princess can feel the pee, which we know is Alyssa, because Alyssa's already felt it. So how many true loves are there for Max? There has to only be one, I would think. I don't think a fairy godmother is going to be like, hey, there's going to be 10 girls that are going to feel this pee. So good luck, sifting between the 10 of them. No, it has to be one. So we know Alyssa's already felt it. We don't really know if Ava's felt it, but we do know that there was somebody who is spying, at least that's kind of the assumption, on the mother and the fairy godmother, right? The queen and the fairy godmother. And I think that was somebody from Ava, right? That's her
Mm-hmm.
name.
Yeah,
I
one
think
of
that
that
was somebody,
from her
yeah, from
kingdom.
from
Yeah.
Ava's side. Exactly. And I think she's been fed information to know, I have to say that I felt something in my bed. And I think that Ava is part of this whole Claude enemy thing going on, along with the same people who are in the inn, which again could be the aunt and the cousin. We haven't ruled that out yet. But yeah, I think Ava, I don't think I think she's fake. I don't think she's
Mm-hmm.
true.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I smell something very fishy going around here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it'll be quite
And Max
interesting
isn't
to
falling
figure it
for it
out.
either.
No, he wants nothing to do with her. He found Alyssa in the library and he's just all like, I need to talk to my father because it was just he wasn't buying it, but he goes, I don't understand why my mom is all up like wanting this for us. And then they're both basically on the
Mm-hmm.
same page. Like even Alyssa says she has coldness in her eyes and everything. And the whole talking to his dad is going to help him, I think, open up a lot of stuff too. And to be quite frank, when Alyssa was telling the king how she felt, I thought he was going to get mad for a second because it's like, are you just saying this because now you don't want my son? Do you want our kingdom to fault like get ruined or anything? And I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna take this the wrong way. I totally could tell, but he kind of kept a little
Yeah.
open mind, just a little. And then
Well, yeah, the king is smart. He can see Alyssa
yeah,
clearly has feelings for his son.
I think the whole kingdom could see those two have feelings for each other, to be honest with you. I really feel like they're probably
Yeah.
those two people who think that they're really good at hiding it and nobody knows, while the entire kingdom is all like, wow, you guys are stuck like magnets, separate. Oh my gosh. So the
Mhm.
whole kingdom
But
could
the
see it.
queen, yeah, and the queen is like, I feel it's almost kind of sad because we see the queen just came off of this vulnerable conversation that she had with Alyssa, where she is saying that she doesn't feel like she was deserve to be queen, and that she obviously feels like she let her daughters down. She has so much investment in this pee situation. Like every single girl she sees, how did you sleep? Oh, you slept great. Too bad. Oh, like
Sucks to
that's
be
the
you. Get out.
reaction. Yeah. And it's like we might as well just send you home now. You're not going to work. But this one girl who just happens to say something, the queen automatically is going to ignore anything else. It's like tunnel vision. She's only seeing, oh, she felt the pee, so she must be the princess, when she hasn't even come to realize that somebody could be lying. There could be something going on, which I think is what's happening. I do think the queen is being fooled, but now the queen's not going to be thinking about anything else. She's not going to be thinking about any type of deceit. She's just going to be focusing solely on, well, Ava felt the pee, so she's going to be our new queen. And it's like, I would be
It's the
very cautious.
stepsister's daughter. Oh no. I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's like,
I'm
what if
kidding.
that's a thing?
So what would happen now? That would kind of suck to go number 4, like the fourth person, because this is the fourth princess, not even get a shot anymore if the queen is like dead set on Ava because she felt the pee. Are they gonna still give the
Hmm.
fourth princess a shot? Like, I wouldn't want to go last. I'd be like, wait a minute, hold up. Or
Well,
maybe I would,
I
because
would
then I
think,
got saved from marrying somebody I don't even like.
yeah. Well, I think that the princesses and everybody don't know about this pee thing. They just see themselves as, oh, each girl is gonna come and we're gonna find out who's the best suitor. But now we can, I think, safely assume that the fourth princess isn't gonna get her chance because Ava's already mentioned the whole thing about the pee. So again, the queen is like, well, that's it. We can just stop the search. We found our queen, and everything's gonna work out in the end, and it's gonna be fairy tales and all kinds of things. When really, I think what's gonna happen is if she does go down this route, we are going to see the same situation that she feels her husband kind of landed himself into. We just need Alyssa to step it up and talk about how her sleep was just crap. Like, we need
But
this
now
girl.
it's
You need to
too
step up.
late. I feel like it's too late because she didn't even tell Mrs. Pine. I feel like the only person she really told was Mathilde, to be honest with
And
you.
Nanny, she told
Did
Nanny in the very beginning.
Okay. So maybe Nanny will
Remember?
step it up because I feel like Mathilde's not going to step it up, but I feel like Nanny will. Hopefully, maybe that
Yeah,
might save it. I don't know.
she told Nanny that she's like, oh, there must be a spring loose or something. And,
That's it.
you know, I was just going to say, I feel like there's a lot of things about Ava I just don't trust. And I'm going to keep my eye on her, just like I'm going to keep my eye on the aunt, and I'm going to keep my eye on Harrison. And I'm telling you, one of these people may be totally good. I'm just overthinking everything, but I'm keeping my eye on it. And I do not think I think out of all of them, Ava is going to be, whether she is in on this whole situation or she was told by like her parent or somebody close to them who's trying to gain access into the royalty, like, make sure you say this, make sure you say that.
Hmm. The first night you're there, make sure you say you're uncomfortable. That's just wild. And then we see Alyssa talking to the king, and Max is trying to talk to his dad, but it's just a weird vibe that he's getting between his dad and his mom. I guess they've been arguing, and I want to know what they've been arguing about. Is it
Mm.
because the king knows that Max isn't going to like this girl? And she's like, but she felt the peak. I'm very curious to see why they've been arguing and what they've been arguing about.
Yes, it could be because maybe the king's clearly worried about enemies slipping in.
Hmm.
And the queen seems to be more concerned with making sure her son ends up with the true princess. I mean, obviously, ultimately, both of their results are going to be very similar. Like, they both want what's best for the kingdom, which, both of those directions will help you get there, but they're on very different sides of it. So it could be that the queen is like, no, it has to be this girl. And the king's like, we can't just trust based off of a pea, Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, but it would be curious to know what they were fighting about, especially since Max said they never fight.
Hmm. Or have they been fighting, just not in front of them? Because it seems like she hasn't been happy. Like she loves him, but it wasn't true love. And that she wishes it
Yeah.
kind of went different. And I'm like, oh, so like, how did he treat you to be like that?
It is kind of sad, though, to see our knowledge of the Cinderella story coming in this direction. When we think about Cinderella and her story, we think of a happily ever after ending. But what we're seeing in this book is that it wasn't a happy ending. She ended up with the prince and she was still not happy, which obviously goes to show that the fairy godmother either made a mistake or her fairy godmother was trying to force something to happen. But it kind of makes you rethink your whole idea on Cinderella and the ending of it. And it's really sad for Cinderella in general. She had this really hard childhood where she grew up with these stepsisters and this stepmother who just treated her terribly. And then she finally finds her prince and she's happy for a few weeks. And then she just is really sad and not happy. So it's like, poor Cinderella. She didn't get
Yeah.
anything out of this
I think it took her
except her
well,
kids.
I think she's really hard on herself. Like, she did say she does love him and everything, but I don't think I think she doesn't believe that she's worthy of the love. I think she doesn't believe that she's worthy of the kingdom. I believe that she thinks that the kingdom doesn't like her still, and it's taking her 20 years for one person, and this is Alyssa, to tell her, "You're a great queen. You're very wise. You're a kind woman." I feel like she's never heard that from anybody, and she just keeps telling herself, "You're not good enough to have this position. The people hate you because you're not royal." I feel like she
Mhm.
thinks that she is not worthy of the king's love.
I think too, if she finds out that Alyssa and Max are destined to be together, it might give her a different insight into seeing what true love between a prince and a non-princess born, like a non-born royal princess is, because we see a lot of the qualifications that the queen was telling Alyssa are things that we see in Alyssa. She is very knowledgeable when it comes to trades and things that go on amongst the kingdom. And it's not that she knew about those beforehand. She studied and she learned. So a lot of the things that the queen was saying that she's not, that aren't good for, that I guess aren't in her, is stuff we are seeing in Alyssa. And I really hope that that at least brings some positivity towards the queen of, see, you don't have to be born a princess to be a princess. You just have
Yeah.
to be a leader.
And she's passing those traits, I believe, down to the twins. So hopefully they'll have the
Mm-hmm.
compassion and not have the mindset that Ella has, but more what Alyssa has. And it's not like, oh, just because you're not a princess, you're not smart enough, or just because you don't have
Mm-hmm.
a title, you're not smart enough. Because clearly Alyssa doesn't have a title with anything, and she knows more compassion than anybody else. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Well, and
gonna
we
be
also
fun
see
to
that the
figure it
queen,
out, huh?
right? Well, I was just saying, I think it's interesting too because the queen has these different names, right? She has Ella, which we think is short for, well, we believe is short for Cinderella, and that was like her as a young person, right? She was younger. She was the merchant's daughter. She lived with her step siblings. She wasn't treated very good. And then you have Queen Eleanor, which is the queen who is supposed to be this royalty person, and people look up to her in a way. And it's like, why don't we, get back to our roots of who we were, but understand that we are really a princess at heart? I think there's a little bit of sadness to our queen, and I hope Alyssa can change her mind and make her realize you are a good mom and a queen. You have to put in the effort. You have to be there for your daughters and your son. And let's not just set our son up with some girl that, ugh, please don't end up with Ella. That's all I have to say.
Ella, Ava, Eva, Ava.
Oh, Ava, sorry.
I
Please don't end
know.
up with Ava. That's,
Well,
ugh.
we're gonna see some drama because there is a chapter that says engagement, just to bring some drama into this episode. So,
I
whose engagement?
know.
Who knows? Who knows? But that was a
Yeah.
fun,
Do you
fun,
have
fun.
Do you have any idea of what you think Alyssa's idea is? Because they end the chapter with Alyssa having this idea, and it has something to do with the queen. And I'm wondering, like, what is this? What does this mean? I want to
Mm,
know.
I don't know. It could be like a was it called when you do something that you did back in the day? Like maybe recreate the whole like ball thing, or just having a family type
Oh,
thing, I have no idea though. So, what
yeah,
do
that
you
could be
think?
interesting. I don't know. I'm hoping she like goes to her and is like, I understand what's going on, and I felt the pee first. Or
Oh
maybe
my
she's
god.
trying to set up, I know. Or maybe she's trying to set up Ava, for all we know. Like, she knows that there's something mischievous going on with Ava, and she has to, because the king wants proof. The king tells her, like, I can't, I mean, I trust your intuitions, and I'm glad you brought this to my attention, but I can't just assume. I need evidence that I need proof that she's doing something
Yeah,
against our kingdom. So maybe
because this would
Alyssa
be a
has some idea.
because it's such a strong alliance that he can't just give that up right now.
Yeah. Because if she's wrong, it's going to be probably bad for the kingdom. I think it's safe to say
Mhm.
that, especially having people who are already against the kingdom. We don't need to add to their allies list by just assuming this girl is right and there's something wrong with it. But if I was the king, I'd be like, why don't we put a hold on this engagement and let's like get to know everybody a little bit more just so they can figure it out, because he does say he trusts Alyssa's instincts. So why all of a sudden is he, it's not that he's doubting her, but I think he's saying I need proof.
Yeah. Well,
So
hopefully we find out if they get the proof in the next 4 chapters, or hopefully we can find out something. But I do feel like we're going to see a lot more of this Ava princess.
yeah, unfortunately I don't like Ava. I was fine with Princess Marie. I didn't really know much about Princess Celeste. Not having it with this Princess Ava. Don't care for the girl. Just don't. Sorry.
But isn't it funny how Max wants to be called Max to feel human and she automatically knew, oh, you can call me Ava.
Well, see, that's what I'm talking about with this calculated things. She knew, she talked about hunting, right? Which he just went on this hunting trip. Okay. She's like, oh, do you have any good hunting places here? My brothers always used. Anyways, yeah. So I just think that I think she's been, and I said this before, I'll say it again. I think she was given information. She knows about the whole hunting thing with Max. So she brings that up. She mentions to call him, or to call her, Ava versus Princess Ava. She's doing all these things that I think are very calculated decisions. And it makes me wonder who was around for all of those conversations, because I think that's
Hmm.
the person to blame. What if it was
Yes.
Princess Marissa? Or not Princess, what's her name? What if it was Lady Marissa, or what, Marissa? Maurice? I don't know her name,
No,
but
I don't think it's her. I think it's Mathilde. I'm just kidding. But we will get to know we will get to know more in the next 4 chapters. Will we see Ava's true colors, or do you think the prince is gonna fall for it? We don't know.
and is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we can't finish without our line? Amanda,
Oh
you
yeah,
got
no,
to tell
I'm
everybody
so
what you.
sorry. No, but we love you guys so much.
Yep. Yeah. So if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to leave a comment. Let us know what you think, how much you're enjoying this book with us, and let us know if you've read this book or not. We are very curious to know how many people have read it and how many people are reading along for the first time with us. If you're watching us on YouTube, again, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like it, share it with a friend. And if you're not already, follow us on social media. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Make sure to check out our Indie Author Wednesday posts. Other than that, I guess we will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.